All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the jury roundtable. Tomorrow, so we know what's going to happen tomorrow night. You guys will be crowning a winner from our final three. And you know what? You guys have heard my voice a lot in this game. I think it's time I take a little step back and put it into the hands of our two amazing stage managers who have been doing everything they can to make sure this fantastic, albeit elongated concert runs smoothly. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce our two stage managers. We have the Rob 10th placer himself, Marcelo, who played season one and who used to be on Prod last season. Our other stage manager, we have Jen. So we're going to turn over to them and you guys can get started whenever.
All right, welcome to the round table. We are Hannah Montana's stage managers.
Lillian Oliver to Hannah.
We literally, we stan Hannah. We are Stana Montanas. And we're here to talk to y'all about the game. So my first, okay. My first question is, this is a raised hand / if you just want to post in the chat board. Who knows what they're doing? Like, who knows who they're voting for tomorrow?
I know who I'm not voting for.
Same.
All right, well, that was my second question. Thank you so much for
Oh shit, sorry, maybe I should join team.
Who knows who they're not voting for tomorrow? Raise hands.
Well, by proxy.
Okay. Well, I just wanted that because I want to ask the same question at the end of the round table to see maybe if that has changed. Probably won't, but as Hannah Montana once said, life's what you make it, so let's make it rock.
Exactly.
Casey, are you trying to ask a question or are you raising your hand through the answer?
This is me raising my hand and I'm gonna lower it. Okay. I know who I'm not voting for.
Great. All right.
So I was just gonna say, like before we dive deep into the game, to the our three finalists, I just want us to all remember that at the end of the day, everyone here is a human being. And orgs are supposed to be for fun. So if we can just refrain from any personal attacks and just try and keep it as game related, and just be, not offensive, just keep it game. Because at the end of the day, we're all here for fun. And we're going to evaluate Aaliyah and Sam and Jacob's gameplay. But again, all with love.
Just because Hannah has a song called I Got Nerve doesn't mean you all have to. So
period.
It did say let's get crazy, so I think that's what we should do right now.
So let's talk about the positives and what these people did right. And then we're not going to talk about the negatives of like what these people did wrong because they're in the final three and they had to do something right to get there, but we'll talk about like flaws in their game.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest positive to take out of all three of them in general is that they're sitting where they are right now and we're not.
Exactly. Like everybody wanted to make those final three seats. They're the three that did it. So props to them for all doing that.
So let's start with alphabetically. So let's start with Aaliyah. What is some positives that we believe Aaliyah did in the game? Anyone can start.
She had a really good social game. Like everyone knew that she had a good social game, yet she still like managed to make it to the final three with said social game. So you got to respect that at least.
Damn. That's coming from Cam, who she flipped off.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's coming from Cam, who she flipped off at one point.
Oh yeah, like
that's hilarious.
Okay, but he probably deserved it.
Probably.
Maybe.
I mean, like that was
Yeah.
ultimate karma because Cam got blindsided that round when Aaliyah got kicked out of tribal.
Mm.
That's what you get for being cagey.
Oh yeah, the KG.
I will say something that I think Aaliyah did that the other two didn't is there were times that she should have gone home or she was the target to go home and she used her words and bonds to shift the target off of her. even if she's-
I mean,
So
wait,
even if she's
Jacob
still,
did that pre-merge. Jacob was almost the vote, like round 2 or whatever, round 3 over Henry. So Jacob also did that.
Can I just say that Jacob was about to be voted off 4 times, and I single-handedly got the vote off of them 3 times. The 4th time
I
was
did
the
the
one
same thing
to
with
the
Aaliyah
other.
as well.
Yeah, with Aaliyah too. Yeah. So like I will say that like even though like Jacob could have easily not made final 3, like if they didn't have allies in the game that would have shifted the target off of them for them. So like even though Jacob didn't really played I wouldn't say a good socially dominant game, they did have connections that did most of the work for them to get themselves deep, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to make it that far like without any without like people like me in the game. But
I think another difference between Aaliyah and Jacob is Aaliyah was doing things to actively show her support, like giving like advantages to people. And those people would then see like a physical trust. Whereas Jacob was just kind of giving their word.
I mean,
Or
like
just-
I will give props to Aaliyah. Like honestly, throughout the entire game, I don't know I don't know who her true number 1 was the entire game. Like words were going around that me and Aaliyah were a duo, her and Devi were a duo, her and Casey were a duo. I'm like, Jesus, how many duos does she have? And then for her to give me an idol, that's why I was like, okay, she not only was giving people stuff, but she still kept people that she needed to keep in the game until she no longer had to. So I gotta applaud her for at least like, yeah, it was a little shifty at times because I could tell when she was lying, but at least she stayed loyal to the people that wanted for her to stay.
You see your hand is up.
Yes, I will say that for me, the final 3 of the game really was decided at final 8 when we had that live night and when Caitlin and Austin were both voted out. I don't know. Aaliyah was painted as a target. I'm not exactly sure why, but like Jacob, at no point in time at merge was Jacob a target. Was Jacob's name written down besides like the first round? And also, like Jacob never made any deals with me, even though we were at, like going into final 4. But like Aaliyah and Sam both made deals with me. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting that even though we're saying Jacob didn't have that much of a social game, like they still made it to the end with no deal with me at least. Probably no deals at all.
I
So
didn't have a deal with Jacob.
let's move on to Jacob. What was their positives of their game that we all want to talk about?
I think
Positive.
they communicated like greatly before tribal councils. The tribal that Mike was written down, the tribal that I played my idol, they didn't tell me what was going on, but they told me what they were doing. And I think for me, that made me not target them.
And I feel like Jacob had a really good underdog story as well, because
Okay.
considering they were targeted like tribal after tribal after tribal, and then they just started like laying low, slowing down with people targeting them, and nobody wanted them out since the first merge vote. That's pretty impressive, gotta say.
me-
The round I left, I wanted Jacob out.
Same. I also wanted Jacob out, but they wouldn't do Jacob, and I don't know why.
Because why would
like,
you take out Jacob at 4 when you can take out a threat? Because
Well,
Right.
Jacob is a threat.
Yeah.
well, because
Jacob
how
is-
every
because I know
That's-
we're outward, but Jacob has been under the radar since like merge or since like pre-merge basically. Like Jacob is so under the radar that like I didn't even pick up the things that they were saying to me until after like tribal council. I'd go back. Jacob's like, yeah, I told you to play your idol if you felt like you needed to. And then they were like, yeah, you know, I told you I was gonna vote Mike. So I don't know. And even at final 4, Jacob is the only person to get on call with me. And I just can't wrap my head around why Sam or Aaliyah couldn't have the time or the courage or the balls or whatever to get on call and be like, I'm gonna vote you out.
if it's fine, I just want to rephrase. I don't, it may not be that Jacob isn't a threat, but if for the last vote before you get to final tribal, you're gonna vote for someone who's an over the top threat or someone that's a lot more out there and prominent versus an under the
Yeah.
radar threat.
Yeah, fair.
Which is why, in my opinion, once it was at Final Four and it went to 3, someone who was seen as like more under the radar, even if they were a threat to some people, was never going. Unless everyone magically got on the same page and said, we want to have like a kick-ass tribal council with 3 people playing very distinct, different, somewhat in-your-face games.
Yeah, and Cody, I was gonna ask you, before we merged, you won that one immunity. We were at the 4. It was me, you, Sam, and Jacob. You told me if we went to tribal council and you thought about throwing it so that we would go to tribal council to vote out Jacob, what stopped you from doing that?
I got competitive when I saw Jackbox.
I can vouch
Also,
for
I'm
that.
gonna be real. The thought of sending Mike to tribal to not make merch was kind of tempting.
I understand.
Just because of the drama.
Yes.
Also, Mike, we didn't have a real conversation at that point, so like,
Yeah, you're right.
I
I
had
don't think we ever
zero-
had a real conversation.
Yeah, that's
Just like,
also-
oh, shiny. That's it.
yeah, that's why it's like I had no ill will of like seeing you go at that point.
Understood. No hard feelings.
And now finally, what did Sam do that was a positive? Like,
Sam on a personal level, like his social connections, like for connecting with people, was actually like out of the 3, I'd say like he probably did the best. Aaliyah, it took a lot to like for me to get her to talk personal stuff with her. And then with Jacob, it was just mostly just game. So with Sam, I would say like out of the 3, he probably had the best social connections out of all 3 of them. But I mean, like I will give him props. He did find 2 idols.
But wasted them.
Despite the fact that
Yeah.
he misplayed both of them. But still, like you gotta give him props. Like he found 2 out of the 3 idols, so that's still pretty good to speak on. And he won 5
Finding idols anyone can do, but like playing them correctly, he didn't do.
yeah. And then he won 4 immunities, 5 immunities.
I think 5.
5,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, like that's saying something. That's still saying something.
And I will piggyback off the social connections because Sam was the person that I felt the most connected to in this entire game. So I have a little bit of like that understanding of his game, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I do have to also bring up the negatives of what happens if Sam doesn't win an immunity. What happens? Like,
Yeah.
would Sam be there if he didn't win all those immunities?
He
Well-
didn't win one of them, and Mike took him for whatever reason because I told Mike to take him so that we could vote out Caitlyn. But
It was so Sam would feel good with me.
right, and also like, but for me, like, I don't know, but closer to the end, like, if Sam had lost an immunity, I do think he was kind of toast.
I had a really good jury question had Casey made the final next to Sam, but obviously you're here, so I can't even ask
What's
it.
the question?
no, ask it. Ask it for the
Yeah.
drama.
I was gonna ask Sam. So the day on our day off, you called me in the morning and begged me to play my microphone a certain way so you could get Casey out. You're sitting next to her. Why?
Okay, I can explain that. So I was under the impression that Cody and Sam were both framing Mike about like spilling my idol. So that was a huge reason that I told Austin about Sam's first idol and second idol. And then after Josh left during the live night day or whatever, during that day, Mike couldn't figure out what the fuck he was gonna do with whatever. And so I didn't know what was going on. So I finally like broke down and I messaged Sam and I said, I thought you did this, but I think it was just Cody now and it wasn't you. So one thing about Sam is that he is so dynamic that he will work with anybody, including the person that just filtered out 2 of his idols and made him like misplay the first one or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know why he worked with me though.
I just find it really strange that you're gonna strong arm me to into doing what you want, but still didn't take out who you wanted me to take out.
And want to piggyback off of that, like he does have a little bit of a demeanor of like, and like Casey, like it's kind of in the same boat, but Sam kind of did this more. But the way that he did it was that like I was in a position where like I had to vote Casey, otherwise I was next. So
Well,
like
he made you feel like that because I had told you, like, hey, if you write my name down, you literally go home. Like, we should work together. So how he
which
made
I
you
was
feel
planning
like,
on doing. Which I was planning on
I don't know
doing.
how he made you feel like that though. Like there was no chance for you to like talk to me or whatever.
He got on the call with me. Well, the thing is that I wanted to get on call with you, but the problem was that you were going through a tough time, like with us, with our sister at that time. Yeah. But like when Sam wanted to get on call with me, he was like, "Hey, we're gonna do a plan to like blindside Casey, but you need to be quiet. And if I were to do something, then like I'm going home." So it's like, okay, well, I didn't really have a choice in the matter.
He tried that with me, but I thought it was a bluff.
Cam, I see
Hey,
your
if
hand
if you
raised.
save Casey, you're going home. And I didn't see how that made sense because I felt, from my perspective, I was in a position where I had to, where Casey was like my saving grace in the game.
Yeah, because you're the only two people that like didn't lie to each other until you were gone. Like I didn't lie to Mike at all in this game. Might help some things out, but like Mike was like the only person that I had.
All right, Cam, what's up?
Yeah. We've also got to realize that like Sam has only got one vote this entire game.
And it was
If you
public.
think about it. Yeah, and it was public, and it was just a thrown vote.
That's because we couldn't vote him anywhere else.
Well, it was a thrown vote to make him use his idol.
I was gonna say, like,
That
I'm
was
just gonna say
brilliant.
this:
Oh,
if who else in Sam's position would have not used the idol on yourself? Because I
First
think
round,
that
for sure.
I think almost anyone, if they were out of the loop and had a random public vote on them, probably would have just burned it.
it still was
I
a brilliant
probably
play,
would've.
though. It still was a
He
brilliant.
was also
Listen,
playing a mini. He was playing a mini at the same time, so he didn't have a read on the game.
listen, I'm not saying that it wasn't a brilliant play. I'm just saying, like, I understand it. That
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, I think that Sam demonstrated the most resiliency out of any of them, especially at the start of the merge, because with me going and then Cam going, his two closest allies, followed by Casey getting the majority vote, like Sam was on the back foot.
He directed the majority vote against me.
I mean, even so, like, I think that he did that as a panic response to me and Cam going.
Okay, so my response to you. Okay, so my question.
He was immune.
Okay,
Yeah,
guys. So, sorry, like Cody. So my question to you. So like, would you consider like, so the first one you would consider be like, that's justified why he used his idol the first time, but the second time, like when I play my idol, well more so Aaliyah's idol, and then Sam played his, would you consider that a pass too, or would you consider that a misplay?
I'd like to also say that I haven't watched that tribal and no one's told me what happened.
Well, Cam.
I still don't know.
No, he was gonna play it anyways. Like he said, like if Josh was playing his idol, that he was gonna use his.
He did say that.
Oh, he did say that. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the vote was on you, maybe for the majority, or that's what we thought. Me, Sam, Cam. And he said, "Well, if Josh plays something, then I'll play my idol." And that was also the round that I was like, "I'm gonna play my idol," and I didn't, and that could have also spooked Sam as well.
Okay, so moving on, we've talked about the three positives of these three. However, I'm not gonna go into the next part about the flaws of these three until later. So as a jury, obviously you all have your own opinions on who you want to vote for. And my question to y'all is, do you focus more on someone's social ability, someone's strategical ability, or someone's physical ability, meaning they won comps, and do comp wins leading you to a finale make you want to vote for a person? I know we've been talking about like, but what if Sam didn't win said immunity? What would happen? So what do you focus on more, social, strategic, or comp ability? And you don't have to pick one. You can pick two, or it could be all
Yeah.
three and something encompass. But I want to know from whoever wants to speak what your view on who you want to value as a winner of this season. Who is that for?
Yeah. I want to say all of the above because like this game is
Yeah.
outwit, outplay, outlast. Like you have to have all of the elements in order to be a good game player. And like you gotta like have the instinct to vote for who you think played the best. And I don't know what I'm trying to say. I drank too much, but like, yeah, it's like you gotta factor in every part of the game because all of them are important. All of them are very important.
Cody?
And I think I might even be an outlier in this, but like if somebody absolutely flopped in one of the three areas, I will still vote for them if they kicked ass in the other two.
I agree.
Like
Yeah,
if your
that's fair.
social game sucked, but like you were winning a shit ton and you got a lot of shit done, I don't care.
I mean,
Which-
I mean, I mean, the whole aspect of like games like this is that your top two at least should be social and strategic. Even if like strategic is not really your best skill set out of the three, that like at least social should be like at least one of your top two. Reason being is that like if you just play a completely inactive game, didn't talk to a single person, and then you just win comps, and then all of a sudden like you want, and then you're expecting people to vote for you when you never had a single conversation with them. To me, that just kind of feels like a slap in the face. Like I want people that actually felt like truly engaged and truly trying like and wants to make all these bonds with all the people on the jury as well as all the players in the game. Like if they did not feel like they put their heart and soul into that, why even bother play in games like this if you're not here to socialize and have fun? And then get the aspect of like focus on, okay, well, these people at least wanted to play the game and at least wanted to get to know me as a person, then maybe I should consider voting for them. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me on how I view it.
Understood. Casey, your hands up.
I think for me, as somebody who can be very loud and have like a really out there type of personality, it's extremely hard to get to the end of games. And like strategy wise, you really have to figure out what do I need to do to get to the end. And I think if someone can explain that to me, what they did strategy and socially to get to the end, then that's really what I care about, because especially in this particular word, I think competitions were kind of subjective. I'm not a huge fan of Jeopardy because it's just like trivia or whatever. So I think competitions are always subjective, but for me, it's like, how did you use your social and strategy to get to the end?
Okay, and to kind of ask a follow-up question to how I asked earlier, like if you know who you're voting for, if you don't know who you're voting for, or if there's someone you're definitely not voting for. I always say, and I'm not trying to like change anyone's opinion on anything, but like I always say a final tribal council kind of makes it or breaks it for someone. So do we believe that walking in, you could have your vote made up, but then if said person doesn't do the strongest final tribal council performance, or if the person you weren't voting for on the flip side wasn't had an incredible final tribal performance, does that help? Like, does that like do you want to take into account the whole game, obviously, or do you want to take account the whole game and then see how they react to their game? And what do you want them to do? You want them to own their game? Do you want them to show you their game? Like, what do you, Josh, your hands up?
I think like it's a combination of both. It's like you have to take like, you know, going into final travel, you basically all you know is exactly what's being presented to you from like every single perspective of the jury, right? But then it's up to them to like showcase like, but then it's up to the finalists to plead their case, being like why they believe they deserve to win. And if you could read the jury properly, and based off of my view of the jury, a lot of us seem are very strategic heavy. So it's like, if you want us to really give us your vote, you have to tell us exactly what you've done in the game to make us feel like you should vote for us, right? But as far as I know with them, it's like, even if they, it really like with the final three with Sam, like like for like Sam and Aaliyah, it really comes down to final tribal council performance with me, because it's like, yeah, their games are similar, but they're also kind of different at the same time. They need to present it in a way that's really good to convince us to vote for them, because if one fails and the other one succeeds, that's usually where my vote's leading. And and like who knows, maybe both of them flop so bad and then Jacob does really well and then I end up voting for Jacob. Like, again, like, yeah, it comes down to perspective at first, but by the end of it, it all comes down to performance. So
Yeah, exactly. My mind isn't made yet, so like for me, I'm going to be listening very closely to their final tribals if I'm there. So that'll probably make up my mind personally.
You said if I'm there, and I was like, Bestie, you're here. But then I realized, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Work.
yeah.
Is that a
So-
ketchup bottle?
no, it's
That I could swear I looked up for
My
a split
brother-
second. And I
no,
thought
it's
it
a
was
cold
ketchup.
press. It's a apple carrot beet lemon juice.
All right, Grandpa.
That
it's
was
time to-
Anyway,
It was
all right,
the angle.
Grandpa,
I'm
it's time
so
to put you to
sorry.
bed.
back to me. I'm kidding. But I'm trying to think of another question because I definitely want to ask the block question, but I feel like there's something. Jen, if you have a question, please. If not, I will stall. Looks like I'm gonna stall. Slay. Okay.
Wow.
Hannah Montana has a song
I'm
called
sorry.
Nobody's
I'm sorry.
Perfect.
My
Oh no, you're
my allergies. I keep.
You're good.
Oh, Jen.
Hannah Montana once said, "Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it again and again till I get it right." And yeah, that's what I really wanted to read. Anyway, my question to y'all is going from the very start of the game. This game was all about like, you had swaps, you had one world, you had different types of things. You had advantages, you had disadvantages, you had like vote outs because that's Survivor. What is like a moment in each of these people's games that you feel like was a memorable part of their game, whether it flopped, whether it succeeded? Like, is there a moment in Jacob, Sam, and Aaliyah's game that you're like, this was their highlight moment, and you hope that they can reveal it tomorrow? Maybe some people don't know what it is, but like you can highlight it now.
No, they all suck. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Damn.
kidding.
All
I'm
right.
just kidding.
I really like how the quote just directly related to the question, though. Sorry, Casey.
Yeah.
I think for me, like if I know someone is lying to me and I go to them and I'm like, hey, like, and I like present it or whatever, usually people continue to lie. But I felt like during the final 8 rounds, I didn't really know what was going on, but I basically told Jacob that I thought Austin voted for me, and they basically were like, yeah, Austin voted for you. So I don't know. I think that Jacob owned a lot of things, or wasn't afraid to own what they were doing the entire way. Even whenever, at Final Four, like they called me, they owned what they were doing, they were voting me out. And I just appreciate someone owning it or being able to, or not being afraid to. Especially because Sam was a meat and he didn't own it. So I don't understand that.
Well, kind of like I get Jacob's reasoning why they did that is because 2 reasons. One, back to the DV vote, Jacob was left out of the vote for that, and that Austin burned a bridge with Jacob. So by that point, like the only reason why Austin didn't go for Jacob, because I was still in the game and I kind of protected Jacob on numerous occasions. So once I was out, Jacob was like, okay, fuck it, time to throw out Austin. So
It wasn't the case though. Like I had asked, like I basically had to tell Jacob that I knew that Austin had voted out for them to be like, yeah, but still,
Right.
like throughout the entirety of the game, they owned, even voting out Mike. Like, I don't know. I felt like they were the person that got to the end without having to lie as much.
About that.
I mean,
yeah,
okay.
they
hold
did
on.
tell me that I was not getting like any votes when I got
Oh.
voted out. So yeah, that's not fully true.
Yeah.
Well, let me just put it this way. I think all of us could just safe to say that everyone's at least lied once in this game, whether
Yeah.
it was a white lie or not. Like, yes, there is some credibility on like honesty in certain cases, but only if it's like convenient for them at the time. But from my understanding with Jacob, Sam, and Aaliyah is like, yes, all three of them they'll tell some truths to a certain extent, but a lot of them also did lie to a certain extent. But again, it really depends on which you favor more. Either do you favor more of an honest game, or do you feel more of a lying deceit game? When really, I just want to see people like just try to present and throw people under the bus. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
To kind of
yeah, just
piggyback
own your
off
game.
to piggyback off of that as well, like there's lying that like needs to be done for the sake of the game.
Bingo.
And like being able to like explain that, because it's like if you were voted out like 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, and you're like bitter about somebody lying to you about getting votes, it's like that's not gonna help anything. Because like
No.
there was idols, there is advantages. Cam had 3 things he could have done and did nothing. Like there is so many things like sorry, that's just the one that comes to me. But like there's so much shit that can go wrong, and it's like lying is just needed at some point. So like being able to say that you went out on a blindside is kind of like something that you have to like figure out like the why for everybody. And
Yeah.
like they're gonna all have different whys for every single one of their votes. And some of them were left out on some of the votes. But like it's kind of figuring out like
Did someone put Cody in the rating?
true. The issue is that it was funny. But yeah, basically it's like you have to figure out the whys to everything. And you don't get that in the moment, but it's like you get that with the talks afterwards, and you get that with the final tribal.
Yes, and also I think it's important to note like unnecessary lies. Like if you're like, I think lying is fine if it's
Agreed.
necessary, but if it's unnecessary, then that's when I'm like, okay, well, what's the point of doing this? You're just burning somebody at that point. Like that doesn't make sense.
To piggyback on that, Sam and Aaliyah both did that a lot, like in
Yeah.
front of me. So it's like, yeah, like I get you're trying to cover your ass, but it's like if you already know, like you might as well just confess. Like it took Aaliyah like 2 or 3 times to admit being like, hey, I got a self vote when I was searching. And I'm like, okay, thanks for finally coming clean. But like, yeah, like if like we already know, like if that is gonna lead to nowhere, you might as well just confess at that point. Like, yeah, like I get it.
Right. So this next part of the jury roundtable is going to be talking about the flaws in each of these games. So we're going to go in reverse order. I don't even know if I did alphabetical order in the beginning, but whatever. We're going to do in reverse alphabetical. Not me thinking S comes before J. It does not. So Sam, a flaw in Sam's game. And remember, this is a flaw in Sam's game. Like something that Sam did in the game that you felt was a downfall, not anything outside the game, please.
It's not necessarily a downfall, but I do honestly think Sam relied too heavily on powers / immunity.
Yeah.
It's up in the air. That's like a huge like what if, and there's no way of like really knowing where does Sam go if Sam is vulnerable.
As a
Just like I
counterpoint,
mentioned before.
I will like this might just be me. I think that if something is in the game, whether it's a power, twist, or immunity, that
Yeah.
if it's earned by whatever means that is, it's earned. And it's like whether it's clutch or it isn't clutch, it's just how it is. So
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
we can always be like, well, like what would have happened to Sam? It's like, well, it's like it doesn't matter. Like he won like X amount of whatever. Like
yeah,
I mean, I do have a flaw in Sam's game personally. Because Sam and I we're good, you know, but I don't, and Sam had like tried to offer a final 2 to me like a couple of times, maybe around right after the live night where Austin and Caitlin were voted out. And I was just kind of like, But towards the end of the game, Sam would be like, look, Casey, like, you know, I'm fine with losing this game to you. If I don't win, like I would be fine losing the game to you. And it's just like, okay. I mean, and then like when he goes to vote me out, I'm like, hey, can we get on call? And I know that he was on call with Jacob. He's not replying to me. And then like 15 minutes before the vote, he sends me like a 4-paragraph essay explaining why he's voting me out. I thought that was a flaw because for one, I didn't read it. I was too busy fighting. And for 2, like he could have just gotten on call hours before and told me, I would have accepted that. But I just think it's weird that he was just like saying things like, I would be fine losing this game and taking you to the end, and he didn't even give me the chance to go to fire. I think that's weird. I don't like that.
I didn't like that when I got voted out, he swore up and down the river that I was going nowhere and don't worry. And the more you wallow and freak out, the more it's going to incline people to vote me out. I listened to that, still went home.
Yeah,
I
that's what
didn't-
he
Same
that-
with
he
me,
was-
but I got idled out. That's a different story.
Was there an idol in play at that point?
At Final Six, no.
No.
Oh, Sam was the deciding vote, and he told me the same crap about you, Mike. And he's still like after he was like, oh, well, it needed to be done. I'm like, that was unnecessary. Like, if I knew Mike was the vote, I probably would have just not stolen Jesse's vote. Like, I don't know, but
That would have what? No, that would have sent me home for.
yeah, but I wouldn't have made an enemy or voted Jesse out if I knew that the majority was already on. So, but I guess I kind of get that from a strategic point that might be necessary if you're like targeting me or trying to get me to go after Jesse.
I honestly thought I had you and Aaliyah.
I
thought
knew you had
Aaliyah was
me,
the
I thought
deciding
you had
vote.
Aaliyah.
So did I.
Aaliyah just kind of flip flopped until like in whichever way she needed to. I feel like that's been Aaliyah's game. Not really
That's
any
why
loyalty.
that's why I think Aaliyah was like the deciding vote. Sorry, go ahead, Cody.
I was gonna say, like, it all depends like how Sam explains it.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it happen in, like, for example, like Big Brother games when you know who the vote's between. Like, you give someone like X amount of time, there are people that can just flip a vote. It doesn't matter who it's against, it doesn't matter the circumstances. If you give them any sort of opening, any sort of inkling that they could be in trouble, they could go. So, like, I'm not saying that Sam did do this, but if Sam can explain that that may have been a reason, maybe that's what it was. Final four, I don't get it. But like final six, that's kind of the only way in my mind that justifies that.
But it's hard to like say his social game for sure, and like if he would have went out, and I do kind of see that as a flaw, like as far as what would have happened if you weren't immune, and and the fact that like he didn't really do anything to like own what he was doing while he was immune. He continued to lie and whatever. Like it's just not. I don't know. It's just not great.
To piggyback off that, actually, I mean, like the thing is that when you're immune, like you have the power to be as messy as you want, as long as it doesn't like affect you like in the next upcoming round. Like if you want to spew tea and like get a certain person out, then you can literally control the vote how you want, and not have anything backburned on you, because you're immune. Sam didn't really do that. He just like kept doing the way that he was doing and tried to play a little too cautiously close to the vest. And I'm like, you could have at least like, I will give him props. He did try to throw Casey out like hard, but it's just the way that he was going about it. Like, and even Mike and I both kind of agreed on this, is like he kind of strong-armed it in a way that just kind of left a bad taste in our mouths. So I do think he did try to like take the leap a little bit, but he's still, I don't know, like it's just the way that
Same thing with wanting Aaliyah out as well, which is why I was like, okay, well if you want Aaliyah out, then I'm gonna keep her, like, because that was another vote he was on the wrong side for. It was like I think it was Aaliyah and Jesse, and he was asking me like why I didn't vote out Aaliyah, and I was like, well you see Aaliyah as a threat, so why would I want to vote her out? Like, I don't know. But yeah, he did not do a good job of strong arming besides my round, which I idled myself because I messaged him and I said, do you think I should use my idol? And then he was like, I don't know. And then I messaged him being like, okay, well, I'm going to use my idol. And he said, I'm nervous. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, this vote's on me. So he kind of fucked up his own plan, to be honest.
Yeah, like I think Sam is just like not good at like I think like he's probably scared that like you might know the plan, or like if a certain person.
Yeah, and why is he nervous?
Yeah, like you did need to do that. like you're immune, relax.
And he said the same thing because I think the round before, like round 2, Aaliyah had told Sam she was nervous, and Sam was like, why are you nervous? You're immune. So when he said I'm nervous, I was like, okay, this is not He's not being honest with me,
Right.
which is
Okay.
fine.
So I think that's good for Sam. Now, Jacob.
I had something to add. Sorry, Mike.
Of course. Please take the floor.
Another thing Sam told me that really didn't sit right with me was like Sam was when pitching the whole platinum microphone thing. Sam tried saying, "Oh, Casey has final twos with everyone. Casey is really well set up, and if you take Casey out, you're gonna go to the end and win." I'm like, how do you know this?
Yeah,
How do you know
it's-
this for sure? I'm not buying this. And if Casey really had all these final twos, why'd they just vote her out?
Yeah. So like situational awareness or social awareness, Sam didn't really have in the game. And I think that like low-key both Miss Idol plays or whatever, combined with that, I don't know. And the fact that he's always immune, so you're not really sure where his social game is, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we all good with Sam, or anyone else have anything
Yeah.
to say about Sam? Sam, I am going once. Sam, I am going twice. Sam, I am sold. All right. That's a really good book. Y'all should read it. My next question is for Jacob. What is a flaw in their game?
Everything. I'm kidding.
Like my question is, y'all called with Jacob?
No.
I did.
That was the only
Jacob
person
talked
I
to
didn't-
y'all?
Like that was the only person I didn't call with, like the whole game.
Really.
Yeah.
Oh,
never
Jacob,
had, like,
that was
a
the only person
real-
that talked to me at the end of the game.
The one time I had a real conversation with Jacob is when it was our try before. And they were skating around talking about the vote without talking about the vote with me. Other than that, I did not talk to them and I did not call them.
I mean, I've only had like a handful of calls with Jacob, but most of the time it was just really just like us vaping, but that's it.
I kind
Really-
of think that it's strategy because Jacob played a really good under the radar game, and like the fact that they weren't calling you guys and you still didn't want them out or they didn't get voted out, like I think maybe their calls increased as they got closer to the end. I don't know if that's strategy, but like I said, Cody didn't get on call with them as the first juror and the last juror. They're the only person to call me.
They only talked to me when their name was out there.
I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the issue that a lot of people have with Jacob. Like, Jacob,
would-
at least in the
Sorry.
free merge, this is how I kind of heard Jacob's game. Jacob was kind of just chilling. Jacob heard his name being said from other people
There.
telling them.
There.
Jacob woke up and started to talk to people, and that's how it was like Henry went instead of Jacob. And like, you can say the other
basically
things.
what happened.
Cause
yeah.
like, Josh, like, I'm not sure if you necessarily saved Jacob like the 3 times, but it's like, I'm sure that you at least said, hey, Jacob, wake up. And then Jacob then started talking
Oh,
to
I gave
people.
Jacob that alert. Yeah, like I was like, "Hey,
We were really trying to
everyone
get
was just-
Jacob out, and they had people who were like willing to get in front of it and like not do that. But like as someone who tried to get Jacob out that round, like, and then to watch where they are now and like how they did it and just their strategy to me, like, I don't know. I think that there's more to it. I hope that they explain it at FTC, but there has to be more to their game that we're not seeing.
I will say that doesn't impress me much because their name was out at final 19 with the one tribe. It's not hard to get your name off the chopping block at 19.
But here's the thing: when you're going against me and Austin, who wanted Jacob out, we are probably 2 of the like more convincing players. I'll say. I don't know, but like Austin can get anybody to do what he wants to do. I felt like at times I did that as well, and we still were not able to get Jacob out.
But you
at
didn't even
final
vote for
19.
Jacob.
No, I did.
You voted Divvy that round now.
No, I'm pretty sure I voted Jacob. I knew Jacob was a
I-
target.
I had found out through Austin that Sam and Wesley had a public vote, and so that prompted me to actually go to Sam and be like, "Hey, you got this thing, so do I. I'll make a deal with you. Vote this way together. If I catch a name, I'll give it to you. name I was given was just Henry. Like I wanted Jacob out. I was on board with that, but I also didn't want to make an enemy out of Divvy, so that's why I let that go. And like Divvy and I originally had a deal where if I don't vote Jacob, they won't vote Henry. But I abandoned that because at that point in time, the traction on Jacob just went away.
Okay, I feel like we're entering a circle. So if anyone has anything else to say about Jacob, I will move on. Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, my next person, the final member of the final three, Aaliyah.
How many of you were sitting here because you tried
Can
to get
I
Aaliyah?
ask my question?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I
I'm so
literally
sorry.
was just about to ask that.
I'm so sorry.
Marcelo, you've been fired.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean
Go
to.
ahead.
Mike, there's a mute button.
I'm just
Learn
gonna
it.
shut up.
No, you can ask your question. Go ahead.
No, I was like gonna get into how many of us are sitting here because we wanted Aaliyah out at some point.
I can't raise my hand to that.
Yeah,
I can't either. I didn't really want her out.
Oh,
I didn't want her
Well,
out until
well,
later.
I
Well,
guess
like,
my reads are that bad? Question mark. Anyway,
okay. Well,
I'm
Listen,
so
in my
sorry.
perfect world, Aaliyah was fourth.
In my perfect world, Aaliyah was probably like 8th.
I
in
want
my
Yeah.
perfect
That's where
world-
Josh was for me. I'm just kidding.
Okay, like here's the thing. Like I very early in the game, I was very sus on Aaliyah. Like very early. Only because like there have been times where like I wanted to like work with Aaliyah, but then Aaliyah was just like giving me like very short
KG?
word. Yes,
Ye-
Kate.
KG, yeah, that's
Stop.
the thing. That's what I want to be.
So it's like as much as I really wanted to work with Aaliyah, like Aaliyah just keeps on being cagey with me round after round after round. All that went away when she gave me her idols. So it's like I think the problem is that she needed to be more open and not be very, very like she kept her cards way too close to the chest, which honestly that wasn't a bad thing. It's just the way she handled that, it made me be like question where her loyalty was to me numerous times. And I don't know if she was like that with all of y'all, but like
Yeah,
She was with me.
she.
Not necessarily with me. Like we had a few conversations. We were linking up pre-jury. We wanted to work together long term, but once merge came around, Austin and I kind of were trying to like figure out her gameplay and like wondering how many people felt good with Aaliyah per se. How many people be working with? Who is her real number one, and so on and so forth.
A segue, Cam.
Yeah.
Cam, when were we sussing this?
That's my
Like-
question for Aaliyah. Like, I'm gonna ask her, like, hey, who is your real number one in this game?
A question.
That's
Who was
what I wanted
everybody's
to ask.
number one? Did we all have a number one in the game? I didn't.
My
Besides
mine
maybe
was
Mike.
like gone very early. Mine was already gone like way
Yeah.
early.
So
But
what's the
Yeah,
importance
Lauren-
of that question? Just to know if you were number
Lauren
one.
left. Lauren.
I heard Cam's number one is Victoria.
Oh my god.
Alright,
Sorry, Cam, go.
alright, but like, yeah, my thing with Aaliyah is, yeah, like she did call me cagey, but she's been like that with me almost the whole game. Like, yeah, and also I was gonna also ask the same question about like who were her real allies, because it's hard to know with her, like because she'll just talk with you like I'm vibing with you.
I was
you know?
rocking with you until this and this happened. For my instance, it was the Caitlyn vote, which thanks a lot, Austin. No, I'm kidding. I love Austin.
Welcome.
Think how I kind of see Aaliyah's game, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like I'm good with everyone and I'm flexible, but I don't want you to know my true intentions. So I'm gonna let you do everything. And then I'm just going to fall in place and be that like piece that fits in.
Okay.
I
So
think
what,
that's
what,
impressive.
what
Hold on.
single vote did Aaliyah run in this game though? Quick question.
That's where I'm saying like she fell into
Yeah.
place.
I agree with that.
I
She
don't
didn't
think like at least
voice
for what
it.
I heard, like she didn't have a round where she was like, I did this.
Well, she could claim ownership of some of the moves, though.
Oh, I'm not saying she
Yeah.
can't. I'm just saying like she didn't direct any of them.
She
She
wasn't the
I-
first person
True,
to say it.
true.
I
True.
do still think she's the swing vote to get
Granted, like,
me out.
I don't think directors win games all the time though. Like some of the early directors of the merge are sitting right here.
Sorry, Cody.
I'm not even saying that bitterly. I'm just saying that as a fact because Josh, Austin, and Casey all became targets, and sooner or later, y'all got out.
I mean, like we're all aware of that. Like, once like one of us like got sniped, the rest were gonna get sniped. So
Hence why I wanted to protect all of us.
yeah, I know.
But no, like I think that's her game, and like I'm not criticizing it. I'm just noticing it.
Yeah, and one thing that like you really actually pointed out, something, Cody, is that when like she was like having conversations like with me, she like she does like this certain thing where like she just constantly like whenever you try to ask her a direct question on like what you want to do, she's like, I don't know, what do you want to do? And then like the more I try to banter it off, or the more she tries to plant the seeds, she tried to make it seem like it's my idea to do like a certain plan, and then she follows along with it, so that way she doesn't claim ownership of it. I'm like, it's a good deflection tactic, but like she's done it way too often. And I'm like,
Just-
come on, it's getting old.
Just to ask, hands up if you heard this from her.
Okay.
What are you thinking for this round? Because I really want to work with you.
Can I raise
Can I
two
raise
hands?
both hands?
Just done that
Yeah, I
already.
was gonna raise
Because
both.
like she said that to
hands
me on the
because-
round I left. So like I know she was
Holds the
doing it a
water
lot.
bottle up while we're at it.
It's like, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, like I understood Aaliyah's game from start to finish. It's just the problem is that it was too obvious. Like there like there's a way to go about it, but like you want us to like understand your game to a point where it's just like we don't see it coming. But the fact that we all saw it coming, but didn't really like acknowledge like, hey, this is what she's doing, we got to keep an eye on that. The second, like, either when me, Caitlin, and Austin all left, then Aaliyah, all of a sudden her target on her back got really big. So it's like, yeah,
Actually,
like,
Austin was targeting her the round that Caitlyn left. Like she was targeted like that round, live night.
fair enough. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like that live night really changed everything because essentially, like everybody wanted Aaliyah out.
That's why I
But-
played my power the way I did.
Okay.
Because Mike wanted to get Aaliyah, wanted to take Aaliyah out. But for me, I saw Aaliyah as being targeted for like no actual reason. By Austin. Like I couldn't figure out why he was targeting her or why he was trying to get her out. So I was like, okay, well, if she's a target, then that makes me want to keep her right now. And
I
she
wanted
continued
I
to
wanted her
bounce.
to go. I wanted her to go because I thought her hands were in way too many cookie jars all at once, and I thought too
I
many
agree.
people felt good with her, and
Yeah.
I saw that as threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't think they were
Because-
in the cookie jar. I think they were
I don't
hovering
think
over
so.
the cookie jar.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And
Because
then like
when
But I
she
thought in the
realized
game,
the cookies were just trying
once
to
she
pop right in
realized
her
that
hands.
her alliance wasn't actually with her, like Austin and Caitlyn, and that Austin had outed everything to me, then like at certain points in the merge, like that round, and then also the round that Jesse went, and then maybe one more round, like Aaliyah almost went a few times, but because she was a bigger target, she was kept. I'm just so confused on why Sam didn't take her out. Because she had her name written down so many times.
I mean, ditto at final 5.
I mean, like, this
I was
the
told
most
right out, oh, we can take Aaliyah out at final 6. Like, why specifically final 6?
Here's the thing that confused
I
me.
want
Okay,
her
so
out at 8.
okay, here's the thing that confused me. Like, the round for final 5, Sam was immune. There was Casey and Aaliyah, the two people that should have gone home that round. they went after Jesse, which made me think like, okay, so clearly Sam was trying to lose the game because the only way to win is to you have to cut off Aaliyah and Casey.
Well,
But
Sam was trying to vote out Aaliyah, and he tried to strong arm or convince me to do it. He was like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep and just do whatever. And so like when it got down to it, I was like, I really don't know if I can trust Aaliyah. I almost voted her out, but I didn't. We had made a deal finally, so I didn't vote her out.
So the impression I'm getting with these finalists is Strong Arm, KG, and Jacob.
To be honest, like, I really feel like Jacob had a bigger target towards the end than Aaliyah, because both me and Mike were going out being like, Jacob has been so under the radar, and like Jacob didn't have to rely on any immunities for safety. Jacob was always at the tribal. I think they were on, like I said, the positive side of every vote. Which like Sam can't say, and I don't think Aaliyah can say as well. Like Jacob was the only one of us, because a lot of us didn't win an individual immunity. They were the only ones to actually make it to the end without winning an immunity and relying on clearly social strategic something.
All right.
I did push Jacob. I was trying to be like, yeah, they're under the radar, this and that. Honestly, I was trying to throw a third name out that wasn't Jesse or myself.
All right. Anything else about Jacob? Going once. Going twice. Oh wait, that was about Leah.
I was about to say we were talking Aaliyah.
Well, we talked about all of them.
Y'all really just talked about all of them. Anything else on Leah? Going once. Going twice. Sold. Okay. Bless you. I don't know why I made it sound like it was an attack, but it wasn't. Bless you. So we're kind of just wrapping up here. If anyone wants to talk about if anything changed throughout this, or if you're just like, what I knew from the beginning is exactly what I knew right now, we don't have to. But if there's anything else people haven't said, or things that people think that need to be said, the floor is yours. I'll give you all like 3 minutes just to open forum.
Not to throw people under the bus here, but I think like Caitlin and Jesse have been pretty quiet throughout this entire roundtable, and I would love to hear their thoughts on what's been going on here.
Yes, but y'all also don't have to speak if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
He's Jesse.
Play, Jesse.
Yeah, you are Jesse.
Fine. Yes.
I mean, like, I think regardless of like how we all feel with the final three, like if like all that's pretty much just gonna be tossed out the window after their final tribal performance. I think like this will give us a better idea of what we should ask them for questions, because we could just like all think of like the same question, but like if we get a better understanding of like which area of their gameplay we want to focus on more and get a better understanding for all of us, that way it will give us a better understanding of like which we should go for. Honestly, like after this, it's not changing my mind, but like I do want to see how the final three does with their performance tomorrow, because I genuinely don't know who has this in the bag right now. Like all three of them have different cases.
Yep.
But some of them have like all three of them have pros and cons, but it really comes down to performance. It really comes down to it.
Honestly, I completely agree.
I just wanted to hear.
Like my mind hasn't been like 80% made up coming into this, but at the end of the day, I will confirm or change my vote in my prod chat. So
yeah, I've got no idea who the hell I'm voting for.
Yeah.
Sam, honestly, for me, I don't think I can vote for Sam after the unnecessary lies. But Aaliyah and Jacob, it's like I'm in between them right now. So I am gonna wait till F2C, but because who knows? But it would be really hard for Sam to get my vote right now. I'll say that.
I'm in the same boat, to be perfectly honest. I just don't like being told like, oh, you're good, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, while you're driving a knife into my back.
Because he definitely did that, but for me, it was just like just like saying something like I would lose this game to you and you don't even have the girth to send me to fire. Like that's just weird.
You want me to play my power to get you out for some reason.
Can I ask what the fire making challenge would have been?
Please don't say blackjack.
Yeah, it would have been a puzzle of like all you guys in black and white. It was like 100-piece puzzle.
Can you send it to us?
That's not fair. I would win.
Whoever wins the puzzle gets to go back in the game.
That'd be stupid.
Unfortunately, that is not how it works, but nice try.
It's like a jury
Okay.
idol, and like you can nullify any votes somebody gets.
Can I just say that Best of Both Worlds was a missed opportunity for Redemption Island?
Yeah.
Pass. I
You
hate
can.
Redemption Island.
Okay, I'm only saying that because it's like you have the main world and then you have the fun world.
And then you get the limo out front.
But you did have the fun world. That was the one world.
No.
No. Also,
That's
that's not what a one world is. One world is like
That's what I
a bunch of tribes
said.
on one beach. That's why I was like, this is a one world, and you're like, yeah, it's one tribe, one world. And I'm like, that's not what it is.
Kevin has never seen One World. Kevin does not know what a One World is. That was
But no, like,
not a One World. That
just
was a
circling
joint
back.
tribal. That was not a One World.
I think that like this season also had a missed opportunity to do a one world and an edge of extinction. So that way, like you have
Fuck the
one
edge.
stuff going up.
We can talk
You really
more
wanted a
about this
jury
on
of
finale.
20?
I do want to turn it back to Marcelo and Jen
Okay.
though.
I will
Okay.
say, I just want to know the whys to everyone's games because I think we have a fair idea of what their whats are, unless they're hiding anything from a lot of us.
Fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Excited to hear Jacob's FTC because I do think that they have been so quiet and subtle. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
They're very much who I low key would like to hear from for tribal.
Yeah, I
But
want to
mostly
hear
because
their
I didn't hear from them for 90% of the game anyway.
That's generous. Also, logistically,
91%.
do we have a time for final tribal? Because I'm going to be at work until 11 Eastern.
I'll tell you guys after this.
probably won't
Alright.
be
What
there.
day is final tribal?
Tomorrow.
Well, thank y'all for this great round table. I think we heard a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, I'll pass it off to Kevin then. Have a good night, y'all.
All right. Well, thank you, Marcelo and Jen, for hosting this roundtable. With that said, the power is now in your hands, jury. Tomorrow, one of you guys will vote. Well, all of you guys will vote for one of them to win the game. And we will see.
Vote? Is that what the puzzle's for?
And we will see what ends up happening then. Other than that, we will see you guys tomorrow night. Jen, you can stop the recording if you're still here.